Yeah, we did. All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Yud Zayin. Shkach to those who are giving shir this couple of days. So we left off with a discussion regarding, I guess, the Asar Shvatim and in terms of the lineage. So we said 4 lines on the top in Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. So Kamri say Kamei the Shmuel. When they said this limud, right? I guess they're so I guess that which Rav Asi said, they were chayshin the kedushin. We are chayshish that perhaps Rav Asi said, right? He said of the Rav Yudam or Rav Asi, chayshin the kedushin, or that were perhaps they might be Jewish, right? So he said, "Kimi say Kamei the Shmuel." Amalei says, "Bincha haba min Israelis koi bincha." If you have a child that comes from the Israelis, then she's considered to be bincha. She's considered to be your child. He's considered to be Jewish, right? It says bincha haba min avechavim. However, this kachavim kori bincha. However, a child born to a female non-Jew avos kachavim is not called bincha. Elabana, rather her son. Ivaika benos. So what about the benos? What about the daughters? Right. That of the Sar Shvatim that were captured, but perhaps the Avdi Chavim were Baal Lehem, and their children were still Jewish, right? Ben Bitcha, so the son of the daughter, right? It would be that if their children, yes, since we're worried about their children, so the children are Jewish, so what is he? Ben Bitcha, Bincha, right? So it's called Bincha. So we see that there's reason that they are the Jewish. So the answer is no. Gemiri the Bansa Dora Itzuri, right? The daughters of that generation when they were traveling, right? That basically caused them to be infertile, and they didn't have. So therefore, the women didn't have children. So therefore, their offspring were not from they were not Jewish. And he could, because whatever it was that generation, right? And some say even different. Right? They didn't leave there until they were actually mamash chavim shenamar ba'Hashem bagdu ibanim zari yoladav. Right? So it says now that their children, got to the point where none of their children were Jewish. And Yasir Rav Yosef, Hachorei Rav Kana, V'Yasir Rav Kana, Kamei Rav Yehuda.
The children of those daughters were not considered Jewish anymore? No,
they didn't. Or either they didn't have children, was one shot. They couldn't have children. Second shot is they were intermarrying enough to the point that there were no Jews left from them. Right. It was so severe that ultimately that all the mothers were of this kachavim, and therefore none of the children. Right. So Yasir Rav Yosef Rav Kahana, Yasir Rav Kahana coming to Rav Yudav, Yasir Kamar. Asidim Yisrael the Avdi Yamitova Ki Chayv Talmud. In the future, they'll make a yantif when Talmud falls. When he did fall. Talmud. That was Talmud Havi. That was a different place. And Rav Ashi Amar Hainu Talmud Hainu Talmud is really the same place. It's like a double city. Charov mehagisa. I see mahagisa, right? If one part of it gets destroyed, then the other part is built and saved. Charov mahagisa, and the other side is destroyed. Then we yasi mahagisa, and then this side is saved. And yasi Ravinu kamei dera ula. So Ravinu was saying for ula v'kohavi shmaitza Amar. So he was saying over, and then I guess he was arguing as he asking questions. He says my gavra, right? He says what a great student. However, he loved the Harpana Measa. So he says, would have been better if you're not from Harpania, right? Harpania is how I pronounce it. Harpania, right? Because of Harpania. Measa. So if he was embarrassed, he realized he embarrassed him because he came from a city that really didn't have good lineage, right? And therefore there's a lot of intermarriage and so on over there. So he wanted to make him feel better. So he said, Kasav Gedulasa Lahecha Yava. So where do you pay your taxes? Samalei Lepum Nara. I give my tax to Pum Nara. Right? If so, you're really from Pumnara and you're not from Harpania. So don't be insulted.
They call throwing shade at somebody.
Yeah. So my Harpania. So Amrat Zera. Har, so what was Harpanya? Har Shakol Poinimbo, right? It comes to the word that everyone used to face there, everyone used to go there. In other words, basically that was a place of mixed lineage, and no one knew they were Jewish, not Jewish. They would just go, if they had bad lineage, they would just go there. Whoever did not recognize where they're from, the Mishpacha, the Shifta, Nifna L'Sham, they would turn there, and therefore they would all be intermarried and to one another. And Amar Rava, Vihi Amuka Mishol. Right, that is deeper than Shol. That is deeper than like Gehenna. Shinamar says Miyad Shol Aftem Maves Egalim. From Shol and Maves and death, you'll be redeemed. However, Psul Didu last Takanasa. However, but there's no Psul for lineage. And Psulim Harpania Mishum Psule to Mishan. So the Psule Harpania came from the Psule Mishan, the Psule Mishan, the Mishum of Psule Tarmud, came from Tarmud of Psule Tarmud, Mishum of De Shlomo. Those are from the servants of Shlomo, who were basically very wealthy, and I guess used their use their wealth to go ahead and intermarry with those who were did not have good lineage. Behind Dharma as people say Kava Rava Kava Zutra, whether it's large or small amounts, right? Mignader v'azil, right? So it says then it goes. For whatever is a lot, whatever type of lineage is bad, right? It goes forever, it continues to roll. The Azil Shol, and it goes down to Shol, Shol, Tarmud from Shol to Tarmud, Tarmud Mishan from Tarmud to Mishan, Mishan la Harpania. And it all ends up in Harpania, which was like, I guess, the worst place of our lineage. No one knew if they were Jewish or not, and they would marry one another. So Hajjallah Chamesh Esrei. So we finished now we finished the first parak, and now we're going to get into the second parak, and we get our little guys out. So now we're going back to Yavamos. So we had a little break for a little bit, and now it comes back to Gemara. So Keitzad Eishes Achiv Shalohi Ala Balamo. Right. So how was the case? Now going back to the original Mishnah, right? The original Mishnah of what is the case of? This is a female, right? What is the case of what's it called? Of Eishach Shaloya Balam, right? So we have over here. So those you can see, actually, it'd be better. Whatever, we'll figure that. What do you need? No, just to make it higher so people can see. All right, fine. American Jewish. This is good. It's not these are American Jewish yearbook. This is fine. Okay, world events. This is perfect. All right, now. So how is Eish Achiv Shal Balamo, right? So what's the case of it? Case of Shal Balamo, Shnei Achim. There's two brothers, right? There's two brothers right here, right?
Yoel, I can't see with the phone.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Now we see it. Beautiful.
So you got two, yeah. So he's gonna be the one. So Ketzad, right? So Ketzad Achim Shal Ketzad Eish Shal Balamo, Shnei Achim. There are two brothers, right? There are two brothers. And this one, he's married and he dies, right? So he dies. Now she has to do yibum to the brother Shimon, right? And then afterwards, so he dies. Next day, there's another brother, Levi, that's born, right? So he's born. There's a third brother, right? He'll go in the background. Now these two, he was never alive at the same time as Reuven, as the first brother. So he's then he says, all right, time to do yibum. So then Shimon takes her as for yibum, and he also has another wife, right? He also has another wife. And he married, does yibum umeis harishayna. And now what happened? And Mace. Now Shimon dies. Shimon dies, who lived during the same time as Levi, right? That was no problem. Umeis Harishona, right? The first one, we're referring to the one who was married to Reuven. Harishona Yaitza Mishum Eisish Achish Yabalamo. She cannot go ahead and do yibum. Why? Because she still has an isser of Eishes Achiv from the brother. Shalom Makom Mitzvah. He was married to his brother, but she was married to Reuven, and Reuven was never alive at the same time, so therefore excluding that woman forever to Levi. And therefore, she is an erva, right? And then she is also bater because she is the co-wife, the tzara of an erva. That's the case. Now, Asaba Maimer, but let's say going back to this case after Reuven dies, and now he does Maimer. Now we said Maimer is basically Kedushin, right? The two parts of the marriage is Kedushin and the Suin. Kedushin is the betrothal, right? When they give over, when he acquires her, but she's not completely his wife. So when it comes to Yibum, we don't care about, there's no Kedushin. Right, it's Yavama Yavola, right? It's the Bia that acquires her, that makes him completely wife. There's no first step, second step. There's no Kedushin, then Nesuin. It's just, but let's say the guy does Kedushin, which is called Maimer. So he does Maimer, so Shimon does Maimer, right? With Reuven's wife, right? Same case over here. So he dies, then after he dies, before anything was done, he was born. So now and he does Maimer. So it doesn't take care of the Yibum obligation. There's still, so she's like shtickle, his wife, right? Exactly. So what happens? Also Maimer, and then he does Maimer. He didn't do Yibum yet. He dies. Shnia chaletzes. She obviously doesn't fall to him because at all, right? First of all, she wasn't really married to him, so she still has the Zika from the first one, from the Rishon. So therefore, she's out of the question. But she might not be tsaras. They might not be co-wives because Maimer is not Yibum or Chalit. Not obviously not Chalit, but Maimer is not Yibum. So therefore, she is Chaletzes v'lo misivas. She does Chalitza and not Yibum. So that was the case. Fine, that was the Mishnah. Zok the Gemara. So now, just going back to the case, right? We said he dies. Reuven dies, he was married to her, he dies, and then she falls, and then he dies. So our Mishnah says, Umeis Harishona, right? The fourth line of the Mishnah says, Umeis, right? You say he dies. Harishona, the first one, right? The first one. Now, we call her Rishona. So says the Gemara, if you're describing her as the first one, you're not mistaken. And if you also call her the second one, you're also not mistaken. Which our mission didn't do. What do you mean second one? What do you mean? So let's say Rishona, the one that says Rishona, it's not incorrect. Why? My Rishona Linafila. She's called Rishona, as we assumed, like in the beginning, like she was the first one who fell from Yibum because she was married to Reuven, and then Reuven died, so she fell to Shimon, right? So that's why. Yeah, that right. Yeah. Very good, right? The one that says Shnia. Lo Mishtar is also not saying why. My Shnia Linasuin. She is the second one who was married to Shimon, right? Because Shimon already had a previous wife. So Gemara says, maybe we're talking about a case where Shimon, he went ahead and did Yibum, and then afterwards he married another woman. So maybe then she's Rishona, right? So that's the case of my Shnia and Besun. Maybe when she's for the Shnia, the lady who basically had two marriages, right? First, she was married to, right? So she's the two because she married Reuven and then she did Yibum with this. So she's called Shnia, the second wife, meaning because she's been a wife for a second time now. Now let's go to let's start explaining the Mishnah. Where do we see that? Where is that written? Where do we know that if Levi did not live at the same time as Reuven, then it's an erba, it's no good. They're brothers. So I'm gonna have you. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna have you. The pasuk has Kiyashu Eid Achim Yachdav. When the brothers sit, when they're together, right? Pasuk has Kiyashu Achim Yachdav Amesach Habayam. That's the pasuk of Yibum. When they're sitting together, Shaisa Lahem Yeshiva Achas Ba'elam. When they're living in the world at the same time, Yeshiva Achas Ba'elam. In other words, we see that they have to be the Elam in the world at the same time. They have to be alive at the same time. Therefore, that would exclude your brother's wife that you did not live at the same time as that brother. And it says Yachdav. It says Yachdav, Miyuchad ben Achla, right? Yachdav means they're Miyuchad ben Achla. In other words, what does it mean, Yachdav? They're Miyuchad, they're prime for inheritance. They inherit together, all right? And probably Achim and Aim, and that would exclude brothers from the mother, because brothers from the mother do not inherit one another, right? It's only brothers from the father. So therefore, they have to be brothers from the father. And Rabbi says, no, Achim and Av Yalif Ach v'Ach mi b'nei Yaakov. We learn that from the Gzera Shava from Yaakov, right? The pasuk says, Kiyashu Achim Shnei Masar says Kiyashu Achim, that's the one, right? And Shnemas Achim Bnei Avinu. And we are 12 brothers, the son of our father, right? We all have the same father. Now, Bnei Yaakov, they didn't have the same mother, right? There are 4 different mothers, right? But they had the same father, and they called themselves Achim. So therefore, we learn because they're Sheva from Bnei Yaakov, just like Bnei Yaakov who were brothers in the father. So do here brothers in the father. So so just like all this, but over here not two. So we have 2 sources, right? We have one brought the source of Yeshu Achim Yachtav, and the other pasuk was because they are Sheva Achva Achva. I believe Achva Achva Arayis. Why don't you learn Achva from Arayis? We know by Arayis when it comes to Arayis that one is forbidden to his brothers, his maternal brothers, right? They have the same mother, not the same father, same mother. He is forbidden to his brother's wife. So if that's the case, why don't we learn Achva Achva there? Just like it's your brother's.
Will never be Ibam with that?
Right. But why don't we learn from there? Achim, both of them say Achim. Maybe it's your brother from your mother. So to be your brother from your mother. So our answer is no, don't even Achim, Achim. Right? Since the same word Achim, Achim is both by Yaakov and by Ibum. Achim me Achicha. When it says by Arias, it says Achicha. So since this is Achicha, doesn't say Achim, and therefore it's not really the same word. So one says, oh, my Achimina, what's the big deal? I time the Beirav Shmuel, right? Shala Kohen and Baal Kohen. Right, both times referencing right where they go ahead by when it comes to Tzaras. At one time it says the Shava Kohen, he returns, Ubaka, and he comes, and we say Zoy Shiva Zoy Bi. It's the same word. We can darshan learn from one another. So you learn from 2 different words of a different shoresh. Obviously, you can learn from Achim to Achicha. So he says, okay, that's only talking about a case where there's no other pasuk. Now, when we learn ba v'shav, right? There's no other word to compare it to. So therefore, we can compare it. Right? But if there is something more similar, in other words, I have a choice, either Achim from Achim or Achim for Achicha, I'm going to learn Achim for Achim. I believe that Achla Achla mi Lot. What are this? What about from Lot? The Chsiv, Ki Anashi Achim Anachnu, right? But by Avram and his nephew, right? His nephew, maybe a nephew, right? Takes, a guy dies. His nephew can take his Mitzvah Yibum. Because he calls Lot Achim Anachnu. So our answer is no, because over there, Bnei Yaakov, the pasuk when it says Achim over there, when they're going to say, hey, we're 12 brothers, son of the same father, that Achim is extra. Why? The sure said, Shnei Masar Avadecha Bnei Avinu, right? We're 12 of our servants, the son of the father. Why is it the son of the father and brothers, right? The Ksiv Achim, it says Achim. It must be extra. Fine. So therefore,
that's why they learn it from there, not from Lod, because it's
right, because that was Mufna. Exactly. Right. Now, but we're still going to ask on Lot a little later on. It really has to say both. It's when it says Ki Yashvu Achim Yachtav, right? Ki Yashvu Achim if it just said Achim Havamina Lilif Achva Achla Milot, maybe I would have thought Achva Achla Milot. And if you're going to say, oh, maybe one from Lot is not extra. No, it is extra, right? So why? He could have just said, right, by Lot, right? But he says Achim. Why Achim? So maybe it's extra. So therefore it's extra. So therefore it says Yachtav. Those who inherit one another, right? An uncle to a nephew don't inherit one another versus brothers. Because Rachman Yachtav, and if it said Yachtav, Havamina, the Miyachti, Baba V'ima, maybe Yachtav means they have the same brother and same father, not half. Right. In other words, they're not half siblings; they're whole siblings. They have the same father and same mother. Not only right, not just the father, whether the mother or not. So therefore, the Gemara says, therefore tzricha. Right, why would you say that? Understand? It says over there by Nachla they inherit together, right? And when it comes to inheritance, the mother is literally nothing to do with anything. So the says, no, we still need it. Maybe since Yibum is such a chiddush, right? We're mattering an erva, we're mattering a rice, right? Maybe it has to be the point where they're truly brothers, i.e., the same mother, same father. Therefore, it's tzricha. Therefore, we need over there in that case the pasuk of kiyashu achim yachdav. And Amar Rav Yehuda Marav Shomeres Yavam. Okay, now let's go back to our favorite action figures, right? So he said Shomeres Yavam. Now, when you have two brothers and the wife died, the brother dies, Reuven dies, right? She, until he takes it, right? They said the guy lives out of town. He lives overseas. I'll be there in, yeah. Right. During that time, right? I'll be there in a year. She is called a shomeres yavam, right? The yavam is, she's like waiting for the yavam, right? Shomeres yavam. So shomeres yavam shemesa. Now let's say she dies. Okay, let's say she dies. Oh, I thought it was a woman. Right? Let's say she dies. She has a mother, and she has a mother. All right, shomeres yavam shemesa muter beima. Now. He was never allowed to marry her, but he never married the daughter. I'm sorry?
Once she died.
Right. Now, normally the halacha is, right? The halacha we say is a man is married to a woman. He's, after his wife dies, he's mutter to her sister. He's allowed to marry her sister. He's never allowed to marry her mother. Okay? In this case, right? She
was never married. They were never married.
They were never married. So Shomeres Yavam, right? So since they were married, he's allowed to go ahead and marry the mother. Okay? Now, mutter b'ima. Alma, what do you see here? Ain't Zika. What do you see over here? There is no Zika. Because if Zika was... Exactly. Right. Now, what do you see from over here? There's no Zika. Because if Zika is considered to be marriage, remember, Zika is this bond. If this bond is considered to be like a marriage, then it's like the mother of the one who I get this bond with. The Zika. It must be that the Zika is not there, right? Alma, Ksavar, ain't Zika. Why say the halacha is like the opinion that holds ain't Zika? So if I would have said that, betray. Maybe when we say there's no Zika, it's when there's two brothers or even multiple brothers, and right and when the guy dies, so she's connected to two guys. So maybe since the mitzvah is not on any individual specifically, maybe over there you could argue there's no Zika. But if there's only Reuven and Shimon and Reuven dies, there's nobody else to do Yibra Chalitza. So then there's a Zika. So if we would have said there ain't Zika, maybe we would have thought only talking about multiple brothers. About Bechad, but one Yeshia. But one, I would have said Zika. I blame Allah. Ain't Zika. There's no Zika at all, even with one. See, maybe I would have thought that even while she's alive, right? Even while she's alive, I can go ahead, or Shimon can go ahead and marry her mother. Marry her mother. Even though she's waiting for Yibum, if you say there's no Zika even in one, right? Maybe there's no Zika even while she's alive, and then I can go marry her mother.
And then do Chalitza her?
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, right. All right. So they're going to say, so Kamash Malon, the Achamisa, Imachayim Lo, Mishum Dasu Levato Mitzvah Yibam, right? Because you're basically you're getting rid of it. Really, you can, but you're getting rid of the mitzvah of Yibum, right? Because once I marry the mother, then I have, like you said, I have to do Chalitza. So we don't want you to be Levato. Therefore, while she's your Shomeres Yavam, you can't go ahead and marry your mother. So Taran, however, we learn in the mission later on, he says, Yivimto. Shemesa mutter b'achaisa. We have a mission later on that says if the Yavama dies, or I guess the Shomeres Yavam, mutter b'achaisa. He's allowed to go ahead and marry her sister.
Well, that's obvious because
that's obvious. So b'achaisa in be'im alone. It sounds like if she dies, I can marry her sister, but only her sister, not her mother. We just said if she dies, you can go ahead and marry the mother. And over here, it seems to say b'achaisa in be'im alone. So the said, no, who didn't they feel bima? No, really, the mother you can also marry. But I did Reisha, Ishto Shemesa Motor Bachaisa Bachaisa Imalo. Since the Reisha was talking about if one's wife dies, your mother to her sister, but not her mother. So to over here, the Havile Yisur Dorais. So Tananami Sefer, so to the Sefer was talking about Motor Bachaisa. So to the Sefer was talking about the Bachaisa, but really, you can't also marry the Imo, even though that's where the Chiddush is. Rav Yehuda Omar, He says opposite. Shomeres Yavam Shemesa, the woman dies while waiting Yibum. Asr B'ima. It's right. He is usher to her mother. It was almost as if he was already married to the Shomeres Yavam. Alma, Zika. We see that the Zika bond is very strong. Why don't you say that halacha is like yesh zika? See, have yomer hachi, have amina hanim levachad. I would have said, I only would have thought that it's yesh zika if there's only one brother. That's where it is because she has nowhere else to go. Obviously, there's a bond between the two, but if there's multiple brothers, maybe I would think ain't zika. Betray ain't zika. I vaki pligi betray pligi. But really, the machlokes is between when there's two brothers, is there zika or not? And therefore, right, if you say right yesh zika. I know we're talking about when there's two brothers. I wouldn't have thought it was only with one brother because that's what my machlokes is. But two brothers, keep betrayed. You. Ella, rather, if I would have said that, if I would have said to the page that Yezika have a mina, I would have thought Mechayim. I would have thought only while alive. It's only while alive. That's where the prohibition is to marry her mother. That's where the zik is. But after she dies, zika, then the zika is gone and I can marry the mother, right? Kamash Malon, the zika does not leave. The zika is forever, and therefore, unless I do chalitza or yibum, I'm forbidden to the mother, and we will stop here. According to the second opinion, right? This is not the academic, it's another opinion.